This is Ed, wishing you all brutal holidays, and we'll see you after this song in the Tampa Morgue.
What's up? And thank you for listening to the Tampa Morgue. This is Tony with my co-host, Mr. Ed Webb. What is up?
Mr. Anderson, what's going on? It's been a while, brother.
Yeah, we took a little bit of time off. It's, everything right now, as we were talking about before the show, everyone's kind of in that mode right now. We haven't booked anybody for the last 2 weeks, really. We had Paul from Master on, 7 days ago or 8 days ago. I think everyone's just in that spot now. It's hard to I know I've been busy as hell. And I know you've been busy as hell too.
Yeah.
But we wanted to get this show in because basically, we wanted to get one in. I think we'll have one next week before the end of the year too. But just to kind of, today's show is just kind of a loose thing. We're just kind of rolling with it. A couple things we'll talk about. We have some guests coming up. The song we just opened up with, by the way, is a band called Reapermanser out of Miami. That song was called Dominate Me off their 2014 EP titled Orgasmic Death. And I love that band. Me and Ed have played with them.
We've done many shows with them.
Yeah. They just a killer band. I was always blown away by them. And actually, I have to say, out of all, we've played with a lot of bands. They were always one of my favorites that we've played with. Cool guys. We actually have Alvar coming on September. Oh, not September. See, already happened. January 7th. Yeah, so he'll be on January 7th, the new year, right at the beginning of the new year. He's got a lot of stuff going on. He's always busy, but yeah, Reapermanser, they haven't. I think they only
underrated band.
Yeah, they only put out that 2000. So they put out the demo, the EP in 2014, and then they put out one full length in 2016. The Reaper Awaits Damnation. But just definitely a killer band. But we'll have Alvar, and we'll talk all about that in a few weeks. But we also have, what is it, the 11th, Ed? We have Dovidus, the guitar player from Crypts of Despair, a Lithuanian black death metal band, and Luctus and Cold Embrace. He does a lot of stuff. I've known Dovidus for about 5 years now. He's I think he's over in Vilnius, but we'll have him on too. They're going to be playing in Chicago at the festival next year. What is that? It's the Chicago
Domination Fest. I think it's called the Domination. Isn't that what it is?
I don't know if it's that one. I'll definitely. He's going to come on and talk all about it, so we'll go over
there's
all
a couple
that.
different Chicago fests, unless it's the. I don't know if they would
Chicago
be the one.
Threat Fest. Is it maybe?
Maybe there's so many. They because we played that one festival when Sinister couldn't fill in. Remember, Monstrosity filled in last minute. We flew to Chicago and headlined that night. It was good. I mean, it was killer.
It's the same, who Paul was talking about, the same festival, I believe, because I think that Death Strike is playing on one day and then Master's playing on the other. And then when Dovidus was coming on the show, he has two bands that are playing it also. He has Luctus, who's playing it on one of the days, and Crypts of Despair, which is playing it on the other day. But they're a Lithuanian band, and we'll have Dovidus on. We'll talk to him also. But what's been going on, Ed? Anything? What's going on with you, man? You guys all ready for the holidays and shit?
Yeah, just getting ready for the holidays, buttoning up all the stuff with my dad and everything that came with that. But yeah, I mean, everything's kind of trudging towards the future. But yeah, Christmas is it's approaching. It's literally 6 days now? Because we're Tuesday, right? So 6 days, man.
No, your kids are older now. So how does that? Is that like?
Oh wait, Today's Monday. Tomorrow, this will be released on Tuesday, probably.
Yeah, so this will probably be out by Tuesday or late
so
tonight.
A week from today is Christmas. So yeah, it's weird, man. My youngest is 17, and she's driving now. So she really, I mean, it's weird the stuff they ask for. I think she asked me last night, or Bryce did. I can't remember. It's like, do you miss buying toys? And I'm like, no, because toys were easy. Like, toys were easy. You just buy toys and hand it to them. You knew they were going to play with them, especially if it was something you kind of knew they liked. Now it's iPhone and Apple this and freaking all this crap. And
could you imagine if we knew now, like if we knew then about toys, like all the Star Wars figures, what they wound up being worth, and like,
oh man,
that
little case that had that little Star Wars
Darth
R2D2
Vader man
or whatever the R2D2 case that housed all the.
So I had the Darth Vader version of that. Yeah.
Okay. Maybe it was Darth Vader or Stormtrooper. I know it was big. And could you imagine just opening that up for a collector and saying, here you go, with all the Boba Fett and all the bullshit we had, man.
Yeah, we didn't know. We're sticking them in sand and like tying firecrackers to them and shit like that.
Dude, it's weird how that shit works because years ago I used to buy stuff at clearance from like Walmart and shit, and I would list it on Amazon. That's what a lot of people do. They buy stuff on clearance, they list it, and they make a bunch of money. So my wife was cleaning out this bookcase, and she said, I don't know what this crap is. And it was a Halo puzzle that I bought years ago to sell. And the box was a little dented, but it was never open. So I said, fuck it, man. I scanned it and put it on eBay last week. It sold in a day for $60. I was something that was sitting in the corner collecting dust. And it's just that type of shit, man. Toys, especially if it's something kids like, man, it holds value. And
I remember like when we were kids, they had like certain toys would come out. I thought it was mostly for girls though that it would happen. There was toys would come out that like, what was it? Those dolls that used to, I don't forget what doll it was, but it was gigantic and people were like fighting, lining up Cabbage Patch dolls. Yeah.
My sister has 14 of them on a shelf.
Wow.
Della
Do they hold value, I wonder.
Dude, for now. I remember one of them was called Della Darcy. It comes with its own birth certificate. I was like, get the fuck out of here, man. But she still has them sitting on the shelf, and they're all like in plastic. And I guarantee you, if she listed those, they would be worth probably ridiculous. Like that and the little Beanie Babies. Remember, that was the big fucking thing.
Yeah, I don't think they wound up being worth shit, though, at the end of the day.
No, but I think if you had a collection of them, somebody would buy the collection because you've accumulated. But yeah, the Cabbage Patch dolls was huge, man. That was
when toys come out, there's like, they go these guys who know that they're coming out go to like the Targets and those stores and just swarm them in the mornings and buy them all up and then resell them. I mean,
like concert tickets.
Yeah, like concert tickets. Yeah. Well, they say if I haven't tried it out yet, but they say that if you're going to go to a show, you wait till the last day before the show, and you get the seats a lot cheaper. I mean, it makes sense though. Like hockey games, if you go to a hockey game, you
Sure,
could buy
because
this tickets off the
nobody wants to
street.
lose. Nobody wants to lose the money. Like Metallica, when that show you went to, when I saw you when they played with Lamb of God and Gojira,
Oh, that was years
um,
ago. Yeah.
I bought those tickets 3 or 4 days before, and we were all the way down, like 4 rows from the front, where the seats around the stage were killer seats, man, and they were only like $70, $60 a ticket, which that was unheard of for those seats, for Metallica especially. What was it? That was when they called it the Ice Palace. Um,
Yeah,
Great
that's right.
show.
The Ice
It's a
Palace.
great
Yeah.
show. That was
It's
before.
weird, like, we've talked about. I've never been like I'm not a big Lamb of God guy, or I'd never seen Gojira before that. I didn't even know I've heard of them. I didn't know who they were really.
Yeah, they're good.
Um, but I think I saw that same. I don't know what year that was, but I do know that I think I saw Megadeth the same year at the House of Blues, maybe, or the Hard Rock or something like that. It had to be like what 15 years ago. You think?
Yeah, easily.
Maybe even longer than that. And I can't remember what record came out for them, but for Megadeth. But yeah, I remember it was like the same week. I think it was Megadeth, Suicidal Tendencies, and I want to say Anthrax. Believe it or not, I think it was like one of these tours that were coming through, and yeah, I think they play at the Hard Rock or the House of Blues. I do forget though, but I do think it was that. But so you guys had what? You had DRI in town this week in
Yeah,
Tampa.
DRI and
I Hate God in
the same
Orlando.
night. The same night. I Hate God played at the Orpheum. I think.
Yeah, so they must have played at the Conduit the night before.
Who DRI?
I Hate God.
I want to say it was the night after.
Yeah, well, one of those. Yeah, because I saw they
Yeah,
played at the
whatever it was.
Conduit.
But yeah, to have DRI and I Hate God play in the same town 5 minutes, like not even 5 minutes, 5 minutes walking. Um, because the Orpheum and the Mug, you haven't seen the new Orpheum yet, but
No,
it's
I haven't been there
literally,
yet.
it's literally, you could park your car in the Mug parking lot and get to the Orpheum 5 minutes walking.
Yeah, I like the whole outdoor thing. I've seen like the videos of it and
Yeah,
stuff, which
yeah,
was two stages, right? One inside, one
one
outside.
inside. So the first time I went to the Orpheum was to see Deicide with Inhuman Condition and Cataclysm, and they played inside. But when I went and saw Carcass, they were playing outside. So, and it was killer. I mean, it was loud, So I guess the shows have to be done earlier because of noise ordinance.
It makes sense. I want to say that Janus Landing in St. Petersburg is the same way. There's like
Yeah.
it has to be done by a certain time.
Yep. That's why when I saw Marilyn Manson there that time for the Antichrist tour, we literally left. I mean, Manson ended, and we went around the corner, and I think we only missed one band with Cannibal Corpse at the State Theater, which is like literally 2 minutes down the road. We went and parked, went in, and saw Cannibal Corpse. That was with Immolation, and I don't even remember who it was that night, but it was a
I
killer show.
I had actually heard that they were so. I guess that what is it called now? It's not called the State Theater anymore.
It's called
The
the the Social Club or something
so
weird like that.
I believe they're selling that place again. I think it's up for sale. I saw
Oh
online the
wow,
other day.
yeah, I haven't
Yeah,
heard of any
so
bands playing there.
yeah, I don't know. I haven't been there since it was the State Theater, but I saw a lot of great shows at the State Theater. I mean,
Granted, for
like
sure.
Cannibal. I saw that. What was it? Cannibal Corpse, Pissing Razors,
Mm-hmm.
Dark Funeral. That was got to be like 20 years ago now. Uh,
2008,
yeah, Mr.
seven.
Bungle played at State Theater. I mean, just everyone's pretty much played at State Theater. I think it was pretty much like,
Yeah,
especially a lot of the old.
I've played the State Theater probably 15 times.
I only
Luckily,
played it once actually, and it was with a Black Sabbath cover
Black
band.
Sabbath tribute. Yeah,
Yeah, Children of the Grave for the
I'm
top
pretty
down.
sure, except for Monstrosity, of course, and Massacre. I think every other band I was in, we played there. I think.
I remember
I know
Diabolical. You
Diabolic
guys
did.
played there with Hate Eternal. I
Hate
remember
Eternal.
that.
And
Yeah,
then
I do remember
I
that.
played there I did 2 shows there with Brutality. One we play with Monstrosity, go figure, and one with Hypocrisy. And then
When you
of
guys played
course,
with Hate Eternal,
of
was that
course,
the Randy Pyro,
yes, yep,
Derek Roddy?
Yep.
lineup? Okay, I thought so.
Derek Roddy, I'm not sure. I can't remember, but definitely Randy for sure. And that was a great show. That was 2003. So,
We
you know,
actually, speaking of Derek, we have some Derek on this show tonight because we're actually going to play, which I forgot to mention in the beginning of the show. We're going to play two songs today. We're actually going to play three in total, which we usually never do. Obviously, the first one was the Reapermanser, so you heard in the beginning the Dominate Me track. But we're going to play in about probably like about 10 minutes or so. We're going to play a new track off of a band that me, Jim Ross, Derek Roddy, and actually Ed plays on some of the tracks too on one of the albums that we just did. And a couple, he also does some vocals with me on some of the a track or two off the new record that's going to be coming out. But we're actually going to play a track from the new Doomsilla record that we're putting out very soon. This is going to be off the demo, which I believe will be out next week. Actually, there's a
don't
very
forget
small
Pajoni.
amount of Mike Pajoni. Yeah, he's on actually both. No, he's on the record. The song you're going to hear tonight, he'll be on with us. So yeah, we'll be playing that in probably about 10 minutes. And at the end of the show, we're going to play a track from Bandwhore, which we're actually the first person to ever play Bandwhore. And it's a track that Jim Ross, who's also the guitar player for Doomsilla with me, has been working on for years now. And just, I mean, I would say how many guys he has like 75 different musicians on this record, right?
If you can pronounce the name, they're on there. I mean,
Yeah,
I'm on there. You're on there. We're all on
yeah,
there.
he's
We've all
good. I
done stuff
mean,
for him. And the thing about Jim is he is such an like he's one of those guys that you just don't know how killer of a musician he is. I mean, me and you when we went and did the vocals up there for the Doomzilla record, um, when you see how he works and how he does things, I mean, just and for instance, for me and you, the cover because I played bass on the cover songs
yeah,
and listening to some of those songs and the, I don't want to give away the songs because I don't think you've mentioned them yet, but a couple of them are old songs and the orchestrating value that he did those instruments and I'm like, how do you know how to do all that,
dude, he's such a
like the
brilliant music. The guy is just
organs, the
awesome.
keys, the
Violins,
cello.
he's
I
yeah.
mean it's amazing to me how ridiculous of a musician he is and that he hasn't blown up um bigger, and the fact that he fucking is a killer cabinet installer, like kitchen cabinets and stuff.
Yeah, he writes guitar books. He does everything. I mean, you look at that
He's
Doomsilla. I mean,
amazing
not the
dude.
Doomsilla, but the if you look at the band tour, I mean, he has just everybody's on this record. There's so many names that like, I mean, he really just has different lineups on different songs. It's really crazy, different versions of the songs. I want to say, I forget. I asked him how many songs there were, and there was a shitload. But well over 70 tunes.
Oh
I
yeah,
mean, well over
I
70 tunes.
think it's closer to 100. And if you think about it, not many of the tunes cross musicians over. In other words, that they play on maybe Derek and a couple of dudes, but very few people does he use on different another song. Like it's
Yeah, it's
basically he's a guy who's writing songs to particularly have a set of people do, and then the next song has another set of people, and so on and so on. So it's literally like a Roadrunner United times 1,000, because you have all these musicians who are well known all over the globe doing songs with him. And the satisfying thing is they're all great songs. I've heard a lot of them. You know what I
yeah.
mean? And I just shake my head. I go, dude. First of all, you write the Doomzilla, you write this, you write that, then you write all these songs, and you produce this, and you record that. And I'm just like, there's not enough hours a day for me to do 90% of the shit I do every day. And how that guy is able to accomplish that is just amazing. He's an amazing musician, and
Well, when we started doing the Doomzilla, it was kind of crazy because me and him had talked about it. I think I want to say 2013, around that time period. We were like, "Hey, We had this idea, like, let's do these kind of crazy songs." It was kind of like our version of a black and white horror movie, but just like more disturbing, I guess, than a lot of the older ones. And I had mentioned it to him, and I think probably like a couple months went by, and then I heard from him. Jim's like, "Hey, man, I wrote these songs, and he had this crazy, I mean, just crazy material written." And most guys that you're gonna, most people you mention this shit to, they would just like, "Oh yeah, yeah, yeah," and you'd never hear from him again, or you would never, Jim is
Lip service.
yeah, a lot of lip service. Not Jim, man. He gets it done, and he that first Doomsilla record, he's you couldn't have Doomsilla without Jim. It would just
Well,
wouldn't, you know.
think of it like this: we have a kind of a thing we were talking about doing again, a band me and you did previously, and he did, and we talked about doing it, and all of a sudden he sends over 4 songs completed. Like, hey, what do you think of these? And we were just like, what the fuck, dude? And it's just like, it's crazy that you say something to him and he's like, yeah, sure, sounds good, man. Yeah, fuck yeah, we'll do it. And like you said, most people would have been like, call him up 2 months later, hey, dude, you still down? Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. No, he's right. He's the one contacting you saying, hey, I got these tunes, man. They're done. What do you think? You want to listen to them?
Yeah, actually, you know what? Let's listen to let's put on. Let me see here. We're gonna play right now. Actually, we're gonna go to Doomsilla right now, though. We're gonna play. We've been writing this material for the last couple of years. The last album we put out was 2015's "Join the Cult," and then we hadn't done shit for a while. And this is Derek Roddy on drums, Mike Pagioni on bass, Jim Ross on guitars, me on vocals. And this is Repulsed by the Existence of Humanity.
Coming in this glass of sorrow, nothing in this pool of blood. Nothing new to find on beauty, but sometimes fate just isn't enough. Nothing in the next of your slaughter. I know what it is to climb your name. Despite that, all the earth still made. Before the nakedness of humanity. Living in denial, I can't be back to where I come. This world's turning We're making our food out of people. Next thing they'll be breeding us like cattle for food. You gotta tell them. You gotta tell them.
Promise, Tiger, I promise. I'll tell the exchange.
You tell everybody. Listen to me, Hatcher. You gotta tell them. Silent Breed is people. We gotta stop them. Somehow.
And there you go. That's that's the first time we've played that track, and we're gonna have a demo coming out called "Angels Draped in Black" that will be out in a week or two, actually. So if you check out the Doomsilla Instagram page or Facebook page, I think the Instagram page is much more up to date. Like it's much more active. We'll be putting up copies of that. We're only printing up a certain amount of copies, and then we do have a full length recorded. And we actually have a bunch of stuff recorded that we're trying to figure out what we're going to do with exactly. And Ed plays bass on a lot of it too. So we'll keep you updated. But that was the first time we've ever played that, or first time it's been played. That is Doomsilla, Repulsed by the Existence of Humanity. And Ed, what have you been listening? So we were talking earlier today about the year's almost over, like what albums we've been listening to this year, I mean, and you like me.
We kind of talked about what our top 5 that we've listened to, and the thing is, it's hard to categorize 5 because there's some for me that were right on the cusp, but it's like when somebody says, give me 5 things, you got to kind of, something doesn't, has to miss. So yeah, it's very difficult because for me, I'll be honest, man, for a long time, I just death metal, unless it's somebody that I'm familiar with or it's something, I'll look on Spotify all the time to see what's new and what's happening. And then if I hear something killer, that's when I always say, hey, because, I'm kind of in the gym a lot now. And I try to not listen to the same thing over and over so that it's not stale. Because, like you said, you got a 2-week cycle for everything in the planet now.
Yes.
But I find myself listening to a few things more than I have a lot of things. And there's a lot of stuff that's out. But unfortunately, some of it I'll listen to a song or two and it just doesn't grab me like it should, But sometimes, as I do, you can listen to something a year down the line and you go, oh man, what happened, man? That didn't sound like that a year ago. So maybe next year something that was out this year will grab me. But, for me, it was kind of a coin toss for the ones that I picked.
And I kind of knew that, I kind of was like, okay, Ed's going to pick some of the same stuff I would pick. So I kind of went outside of the box, and I really don't have any. Mine are not really done by favorites. They're just what I'm listening to lately, or the majority of the last, couple albums just came out recently, actually, one or two of them. And me and Ed, we do like a lot of the same kinds of music. I listen to a little bit more of the black death metalish stuff than Ed does, and that's why I kind of, when I was going through listening some stuff that I've been listening to lately, I kind of said to myself, well, I'm pretty sure both of us would definitely choose the Autopsy record. So right. I left that to Ed. You didn't put it in. Okay, so yeah, that was just an automatic.
We'll throw that as a guarantee. We don't want to throw that in a top 5 because it would fit anywhere in that slot. So I would say the Autopsy is kind of a misnomer because we both would pick it, and Chris Reifert it's a killer record. We love Chris. Chris has always supported the stuff we've done over the years. We've done some splits with him and when we were in Flesh Reaper. So, I don't want to make it sound like, he's not in our top 5 because he'll be the +1. We'll do the top 5 +1 because he would fit anywhere in the top 5 for me because the record's great. And honestly, Autopsy has never put out anything to date that I didn't think was good. So I don't definitely want to take away from it, but I actually want to make sure it's acknowledged that he knows that you're probably beyond the top 5 because it's a great record, and I'll support anything Autopsy does. And when I saw them in the Maryland Death Fest, they just fucking killed it, even with the chick fucking getting fucking mouth raped in the pit.
Crazy.
Oh my god, dude. Anyway,
bought some mouthwash.
Yeah, man. So go ahead. What's your number 5?
And like I said, mine are not. They're not like I don't have favorites of the year. I just have stuff I've been listening to lately. And there's a band that I've liked for many years. I first probably, I don't even know the first year I heard them. It was a long time ago though. Like Mortuary Drape. They put out a new album called Black Mirror on Peaceville. There's just something about that band I like from when they put out All Witches Dance in '94. They're just. I mean, I don't know if you ever got into them, Ed, but
yeah, they're a great band.
They're like, it's definitely they're from Italy, and yeah, just the Black Mirror record I really dug that came out this year. That was one. And I'm just gonna. I mean, there was a band from Vietnam actually that I checked out a couple weeks ago. Now, even from doing this podcast, now I just been for some reason I've been checking out more and more stuff. Like just more and more bands. Band called Blood Serpent. And they've only put out I think one album. They've been around since like 2022, but they're from Vietnam, man. So and they're it's Beast Style Extermination was the new record they put out, or the only record they've put out. But it's it's pretty good, man. It's definitely a nasty record. It's very black. Like I said, I always have trouble now, like picking out what the musical styles are anymore. There's so many, but more of a Black Death kind of thing, I mean, yeah, but that's that definitely from Vietnam, Blood Serpent. But what else you got going on over there with those? You're listening.
So for me, so something I've been listening to a bunch, and of course I've done shows with them a ton of times. Suffocation. The new Suffocation, hymns from the Apocrypha. These words, man.
Yeah.
But I will tell you, can remember seeing Suffocation at the old the Ritz, before it was the Masquerade, the Ritz, when they were doing Human Waste, the EP. Just after that, they played a Metal Awards that used to be the Tampa Bay Metal Awards. And I remember when I saw them and I was just like, fuck, man. And then, of course, hanging out with them on the 70,000 Tons of Metal. I played with them in Costa Rica. We played some shows with them in Europe. They're just, and then I did a couple shows with them recently in Monstrosity, Maryland Death Fest. They played the same day we did. And then we played another show somewhere. But the record's fucking heavy. It's the first one, obviously without Frank. But I will tell you that Ricky did a great job, man. And the band is clicking on all cylinders. I mean, Terrence if you've ever talked to Terrence or hung out with Terrence, he is a class act. He's such a fucking nice guy. And he's metal to the core. And, to think that this album, comes out, how many years has Suffocation been around now? I mean, we're talking 90s. So we're talking almost over 30 years, probably close to it. Yeah, I mean, like I said, I put it on in the gym because it fucking makes me just want to go mental. And again, I've said it 100 times, aside from going old school, like I'll go to Bolt Thrower a lot because Bolt Thrower is one of those bands that I can listen to anytime. And it's just great. Fucking Carl Willett's fucking vocals are just, to me, are great, man. They're very monotone, but they're very brutal. And they're a brutal band. But the new Suffocation just absolutely, definitely was there. And it was a toss-up because I've also been listening to Kelly Schaefer's new band, Till the Dirt. And I got to say, it was a toss how to put them in the category because two different things. I like Kelly's vocals. He does some stuff on this that he does some clean vocals, kind of like he did with Neurotica, sort of, kind of, not really, but like there's elements of it. So he's kind of tapping into all that Kelly Schaefer does. And the band's killer. I don't know if you had a chance to check it out.
I've heard some of it. Yeah, it definitely is good.
But it's pretty technical. The only thing I can say to Mr. Schaefer is, will you please put out a new Atheist record? please, because
Exactly.
I've been following you for a long time, and this is a fucking smoking record. Not to take it, but I would love to hear a new Atheist record. So yeah, so I would say that's 5 and 4 for me. No particular order. You can flip flop them because it's like I said. These are kind of, I don't want to put them in an order, but these are what I'm listening to. So I'm just giving you out. This isn't 5 to 1. This is just my top 5.
Yeah.
That I'm listening to, that I'm digging.
I just started. So, there was an album that came out actually this week that came out that I just heard that I did like. It was a band from Singapore, and there's Impiety's from there. Impiety, and
yep.
But this band is called Infernal Execrator, and they performed in 2005. I didn't hear about them probably until 2018. But I mean, this is their third album. They're another band that it just came out a couple days ago. Like I said, they have a pretty I think they have the 3 full lengths, a couple. They're one of those bands that have some splits and all this stuff. But 8 tracks on that record, and I forget they're Pulverized Records. I think it came out on. But it's another one of those. I guess you would say black death metal. But that just came out, and it just came out a few days ago, and I've been playing it the last 2 days. It's definitely, it's definitely pretty nasty. And an album that actually came out. So this is one of the first ones I thought of actually, and it came out on December 30th of 2022. So I'm still going to count it because it was like right at the end of last year. Abysmal Lord, which is Hell's Headbangers, the band from New Orleans. The Immortal Hunger, a full length that came out. Their first demo came out in 2013. I don't know, members of Grave Ritual and Caveman Cult actually. But I guess, it's considered war metal, black metal, death metal, but I don't know if you check those guys out, but it's pretty killer stuff. And I'm trying to think of what else. Band I was just talking about the other day with somebody, a band called Suicide Circle, which is Bukkake of Souls is the name of the record. And Ed, I've listened to this guy for some time, but Mensch of Mutilation, Malicious Secrets, Hell Militia. But it's, Suicide Circle is actually the name of the band. But yeah, it's called Bukkake of Souls is the record if you want to check that one out.
That sounds like it sounds good.
Yeah, it's French black metal. It's I think the debut was in 2021 from his band, but it's definitely interesting.
For sure. Yeah, next on my list would be the new Cannibal Corpse, Chaos Horrific.
I figured that was going to be on there, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I can't help but because I'm I've known Eric. Well, I've known all those dudes for so long, man. I've said it before on the show, when my shit got swiped in New York, I've never seen a band that were so caring, like for a bunch of metal dudes that were just awesome. And I've been friends with Rob in and out of when he was in Malevolent and in Cannibal and back and forth. And, of course, with Eric Rattan, I've known him for so many years. Crazy story. Him and my sister were born in the same hospital. So how small is that? So yeah, I mean, and I got to tell you, Eric is such an addition to the band. The songs are fucking brutal. And one day I will whip my head faster than Corpse Grinder. So I'm putting that out there, George. You can fuck off. I'm coming for you. I'm just kidding. That'll never happen. But yeah, no, it's a great record. George's vocals are fucking absolutely ridiculous. I mean, he's just if you just broke down the 5 guys by themselves, it's a fucking super group. You know what I mean? Yeah. I mean, Alex, and the stuff he's done on the side. And then Eric's band, just, Ripping Corpse and obviously Hate Eternal. Paul, Paul's got fucking heavy metal bands that he's fucking playing in, like killer shit. And then he's a death metal guy, and then of course Rob. It's just they're just a super group, man. I mean, and they're not because they're Cannibal Corpse and they've been Cannibal Corpse for fucking many years. So yeah, that's definitely one I rock a lot. And this one, you know, we've talked about these guys. I mean, me and you were rocking them in the early days of thrash, and that's Overkill, that Scorched record. And I got to tell you, fucking Bobby Blitz sounds like he's still 20 years old.
Yeah, he doesn't seem to lose anything, does he?
No, man. I mean, it's weird because we were listening to. Me and Bryce went to the gym at 5 this morning, 5 o'clock in the morning. Yeah,
Jesus.
that's the new thing we're doing. So, and my dad's truck that I inherited has Sirius, because I won't pay for that shit. And Liquid Metal was on. I think it was Liquid Metal, and One came on. Like the new Priest was on, the Priest song there, and then One came on, and he was asking me all these questions about when it came out, what record was it on, because Bryce knows Metallica, but he doesn't know the history. And I kind of deep dived it with him, but then I realized, James, that was probably, in my opinion, the Master of Puppets is probably the best album from them. But if you ask me James's best vocals, that way that he sounds the best, I would say And Justice for All, because that's where he got that grit. That's where he got the fucking, just when that's what I played at the gym today, because I went into the gym going, I need to listen to this. I mean, aside from there being no bass and the production sounds like dog shit today.
See, I'm weird about that with that band, because I've talked about it a bunch of times. I am like, I don't know how to say it, like Justice back. Like I hated the Black Album.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
I'm not a big. Back when I was a kid, I've always said it. Like I was always more of when it came to like Megadeth with Peace Cells and Killing Is My Business. That was my thing. Like I like that more than Metallica. Metallica was huge. All my friends loved them. I didn't hate them at all. I thought, but what pissed me off was I remember when One came out. I remember seeing like on MTV there was some kind of interview with Lars probably. And he said, one video, that's it, one. And I was like, oh, well, that's kind of cool idea. You just have one. You got a song called One. You're not going to make any more videos. Yeah, I think it was like all of a sudden there's like tons of videos, and it's just, I don't know.
Well, I think they made only one for Injustice for All, and they didn't do any more. There were no other.
Yeah, that was it for that. Yeah, that was it.
But once, here, you want me to tell you what destroyed Metallica? What do you know?
Bob Rock.
I don't have to tell Bob Rock. Bob Rock fucking destroyed Metallica because he made them something they weren't. He told them that they could make all this money, and instead of staying true to the roots, because I promise you, Cliff would have never made the Black Album. I don't care.
Well, I think we always talk about it. It's not like I'm not anti, and I'm just not into after Ed Justice. I was just out. But like,
I don't want to hear James Hetfield sing. I don't want to hear him sing.
And if people like him, it's awesome. Like whatever. We're totally not like those guys who like you listen to whatever the hell you want to listen to. But just like I know for myself, when I heard that Black Album, I was like, what is going on here? And I wasn't even obsessed. Like I said, I was always more of Megadeth and Overkill. And,
the Black Album I could tolerate, but it was load, reload, all the stuff.
I never even heard those albums, to be honest.
Yeah, that's where I kind of had to. I like the new record. And again, I know there's people out there that love Metallica. I love Metallica, but I'm telling you, as a fan who saw fucking Cliff Burton play bass live when they opened for Ozzy Osbourne, I'm telling you that James Hetfield is not the guy today. And most of that's probably because he's not an alcoholic anymore. He doesn't drink. He doesn't I don't know if he ever did drugs, but he's clean and he's older. And I don't know if he can do the grit anymore. It may tear his shit up, and I get it. But when you have these riffs that are fucking punishing, like the new record has some fucking riffs on it that remind me of Metallica, and then I hear this fucking singing that just doesn't fit. It just doesn't fit, because that's not Metallica to me. That would be like if Dave Mustaine stopped doing the Dave Mustaine voice and started singing.
There was stuff I didn't like from them. I mean, there was definitely but I mean, I just
my wife yesterday, my wife, we're driving down the road, and I just had Ozzy's Boneyard on. Hello, me, read the real.
Yeah, I didn't like all that stuff.
And then my wife's looking. I go, that's Megadeth. She goes, ew. Like,
I liked Peace Cells, Killing, and So Far So Good, pretty much. Rust in Peace, of course, is but I actually prefer Peace Cells, which is funny because I realize what a great record Rust in Peace is. I realize what a masterpiece it is in a way. But to me, Peace Cells is just There's just something about it. It's the
raw,
intoxicated Dave Mustaine album that
it's
pissed
the raw,
off, you know.
Writing about black magic and all the stuff that he was writing about. And again, I think when some people, because after, I want to say after, it might have been after, was it the youth? What was the one before, right after Rust in Peace? What that? Hello, me. What is that record? Fucking Countdown to Extinction, right?
Oh yeah. See, I didn't like that record.
Right, but the point is I
understood what they were doing, but you could tell it was
clean.
Like,
he started getting clean, and I think he forgot. You know, when you're fucking, and I don't, you know, from personal experience, I know from smoking weed. When I used to smoke weed, I used to write some fucking songs that I couldn't even tell you where they came from, because I would just get in a groove. And I can imagine if you're buzzed, and wasn't he fucking doing coke or heroin too? I mean, he was a junkie.
Oh, they were, you know? they were definitely getting fucked up.
But the point is that when you're fucked up and you start writing shit, that's when you write stuff. And then when you're not, you start to kind of.
I always felt like, and I think I brought this up before, like if you open up Peace Cells and you look inside the album cover, you look at the band photos with Poland and Gar and them, they just look like they're hammered. Like, I mean, that's like I said, I fucking love that record. Everything from the album cover to every track on it.
Yeah.
I mean, Devil's Island, you know, just so much killer stuff. Black Friday. That album to me, if anybody says to me, and I love Killing Is My Business too, so like that to me is another one. I just love that record. But Killing Is My Business is completely raw, nasty. Like it's just
it was pissed off. That was the fuck Metallica record.
Yeah, I love that record. But Peace Cells was a little more polished, right? You had that was definitely more of that. But it was just like I said, that from the beginning to the end. I mean, probably
I think Peace Cells is when they realized, okay, this is where we're going. Like the first one was just raw brutality and the fuck Metallica probably. And Peace Cells was like, okay, now I'm more polished and I'm starting to write some tunes.
Wake Up Dead, you know, that instrumental basically with the fucking vocals and only in the beginning and the end. And it was
I remember the video on MTV was fucking just epic, man. It was.
Yeah, they shot that. I had heard about that. They had shot it and they basically invited all the fans to come out and, you know,
to
do their thing at the.
But that's my point is like, you know, when people didn't grow up in the era we did, it's hard for them to relate to, you know, like hearing Metallica and going to see them live on the Master of Puppets tour or even And Justice for All, because I saw them on that tour with Queensryche, and I think they toured twice for that record. I saw them twice. I know I did. And to go, okay, that's the Metallica I know. And now to see kind of where they are now, and the new crop of fans are like, well, that's awesome. Yeah, it is, because you didn't.
Well, they got, like, we played with guys, like we played with our guitar player, Joe, that we played with in Generic Christ for, you know, Hubar. He likes the Black Album. I don't understand it, but when I look at his age, it makes sense because, you know, by that time I was done. Like I said, like I was just like, I remember when they played Enter Sandman and I hated it right away. I was going to my girlfriend's that day. I was, you know, she was living up in Lakewood, Jersey, and like they you know, this is when they premiered the videos. Remember, to be like, you knew the video was going to be on at this time at this day, right. And I saw that video and I just right away was like, oh my, I don't know, just something about it I didn't like. You know, I mean, it's weird, but now to watch where they are now, I guess, you know, it really changed a lot. I didn't even like the Black Album cover. I was like, what is this? I'm like, what kind of effort is
snake? What
kind of effort is snake? Yeah, I'm like, what kind of effort is this?
You know, I think they were just trying to say, hello, me, meet the real me.
Yeah, exactly.
You know what I mean? Because I think they realized that they didn't want to write those epic symphony songs, like, you know, because when I was listening, like Short as Straw and fucking Harvest or Sorrow, when I was listening to those today, and I'm thinking, geez, these fucking are some, like when I hear the harmonies and the riffs, and I'm just going, man, or even Injustice for All, even one for that matter.
I think Dyer's Eve is the best on that record, probably my favorite.
Just when you listen to the songs and then you listen to the vocals and the lyrics that he wrote for the songs, you're like, man, they're coming with Fire after what happened with Cliff. You know what I mean? They're bringing something that they never brought on the first couple records, because in the beginning it was just, fast, play as fast as you can, and nothing wrong with that. Like Ride the Lightning is an epic record. Like when you look at the songs, there's some good song structure written there. And then of course Master of Puppets just took it to another level, because they were writing stuff, Damage Incorporated, or The Thing That Should Not Be. Those are songs that when you listen to them and you're like, these are fucking, these are.
You remember
epic.
what John Gallagher said, right? Which was interesting. He said that when they toured with Raven, so it was Raven Metallica on that first tour, Metallica kind of had told them, like, kind of sponged a little bit off of them, and that might have been the progression, the change from Kill 'Em All to the next record. I mean, it was a little bit of a difference in the writing, So I mean,
for sure. I mean, Ride
we
the
talked
Lightning,
about that with John.
Yeah, Ride the Lightning definitely took a turn, and then they took an even bigger turn with Master of Puppets, and then if you just go from one record to
You could see it happen.
Yeah, Justice for All, you thought the progression was going to just keep going, but then when they brought out the Black Album, it just took a fucking, and as a fan, it took a.
I was not a fan of that album.
No, and then that's when I noticed he started singing all the songs, like if you remember, yeah, because remember that was the big joke, yeah. Again, James has a great voice. I wish he would, but who knows? Maybe he can't do that rasp, because maybe the alcohol is what gave him that raspy. I don't know, man. I've never had to deal with that type of thing, but it is what it is.
Yeah,
they
still make more money than we ever did playing shows. They're still like,
and that record came out. Arenas. That record came out this year, but it wasn't definitely in my top group of records.
That's what's weird now. Like I was saying when we started talking about these albums, like I don't really have I just have albums I listen to that I like now. Like it's I don't know what it is. I have that I like. There's certain albums I really like, and I try to keep up. What was I listening to today that just came out a couple of days ago too? Demon Sea, which is like another band. I think it came out in Hell's Headbangers. They just had a record come out too, or EP actually. But I'm trying. There's good stuff out there. It's just I think when you're I don't know. For top albums, like I really like the new Autopsy. I love that's a killer record.
Same thing with and it just came out too soon for me to put it as I've listened to it too many times. But the new Sadist, the Shadow.
Yeah, you mentioned that album. I've
mentioned it a bunch, and I like the record a lot. But the other records, there were three more. I mean, the Dying Fetus, I listened to it a bunch, and then I find myself, I haven't gone back to it. But it's it's a great fucking record. Dying Fetus doesn't put out shit. You know what I mean? So it's a great record. And then the other record that came, KK's Priest, another one. I listened to it a bunch because I really like Ripper. I really like Ripper's voice. I think he fucking he gets kind of squashed, man, because people don't give him respect. But again, it's one of those records that I listened to, but it wasn't. It just wasn't enough to for me to say, okay, this is my top 5. And the other one I've told you about, because I had 3 with stars. The other one's that new Prong. I was blown away by the Prong. I still haven't heard that yet. Because I was like, these guys are fucking, they started writing heavy as fuck again. And I'm like, because, for a while they kind of just went more, I don't know what you even would call that. Just kind of alternative almost. I don't want to say.
I lost touch with them. God, it has to be 15 years, 16 years.
Me too. Now. But I was going through Spotify. I said, oh, there's a new record. And I remember telling you, dude, you got to check out this new Prong because it's fucking killer. But it just, I listen to it and then I come back to it and I listen to it. But the other ones that I listen to, and then my last one that I have been listening to back on repeat because they're friends of mine. They've been friends of mine for a long time. And honestly, I've listened to them since before they were called, when they were called Executioner, but fucking Dying of Everything by Obituary. I put it back on a couple weeks ago and I found myself listening to it several times because I'm like, First of all, John Tardy's vocals are absolutely, and this is no slag on anybody. I'm a death metal singer, but John Tardy has one of the best vocals in death metal. It's
I think
a fact.
everyone will
I
agree
mean,
with you on
one
that,
of them. You know, he fucking because it's so unique. It's just it was like Chuck. He has such a unique vocal, and he's killer. He's a great dude. Like one of the most down. I mean, you're thinking this guy's fucking singing these songs, and he's one of the most down to earth people. I mean, the whole band is obviously. You know them as well as I do.
Yeah.
But yeah, the Obituary record. That's probably one of my. And it's been out the longest, so I've had the opportunity to listen to that probably the most this year. But yeah, I mean, and they're touring. I mean, dude, you see the tours are on this year coming up?
Yeah.
They're doing the Monomarth tour.
doing
We
it.
announced that on the last show. And then I just saw they're touring with they're doing a tour with oh shit. I had it written down and I lost it. But
I know I saw this. I know what you're talking about. I saw who the hell
it's like
was it? It's the
like
European tour, right?
yes.
Shit.
Yeah, you saw it too because it's over by you. And I was
Yes.
like, "Fuck, man, why couldn't we have that tour?"
I can't believe I can't think of it. I will hopefully before the show's over. You know,
But they're just one of those bands that you know, you would think, right? You would go, man, these fucking guys have to just they have to outright themselves, right? Because there's no way they can just keep this up. And then all of a sudden, oh, Sepultura. Because Sepultura.
so yeah, it's a weird. So it's the last Sepultura. I guess the Sepultura is retired. I'm so it's done right after this.
Yeah, so they're touring the world, and they're done.
Do you think we see Cavalera's back in there eventually?
I don't know, man. There was some stuff said not too long ago. I don't know, man, but it's a weird tour because you got Sepultura headlining, obviously, and you got Ginger, which that chick can sing. She's fucking killer. But I mean, I would have put.
They played in St. Petersburg, actually.
Yeah, I would have put Obituary first, only because they have a bigger track record. You know, but I mean, you know, it's a fucking. It seems like it's a killer fucking. I mean, killer fucking tour, but I mean, yeah, Sepultura ending it, you know, definitely. And I don't know, man. I think what's his name, Andreas, is just. It's this is a rough business, man. He's married. He's got. I remember he had to leave the tour because his wife had cancer or something, or she was sick, and you know, sometimes it's easier to be with your loved ones than have to go out here and. Because if you've never toured, you know, and again, I'm not saying touring sucks, but when you're away from your family, and you know, it's just basically I say it's like rinse, wash, repeat. Rinse, wash, repeat. You know what I mean? You do the same thing every day, just in another city. And the only thing that, you know, there's been tours I've done where I fucking hated it. And the only thing that got me through was playing that fucking hour on stage.
And, you know, with Andreas, you mentioned that I made sure his wife actually passed away. I remember that. Patricia, she passed away, last year, right? I think it was. So he was.
That's what I'm saying. So he left the tour for a while, and that's what I'm saying. So I think at some point you just want, you know, if you got kids, you know, I know that was one thing Tom Araya always talked about was, man, I miss my kids growing up. Like I saw them grow up, but I didn't see them grow up as a dad. Like you're seeing your kids grow up every day. Because when you're on the road, fucking 6 months out of the year, 7 months out of the year, you know.
And they grow fast, as we know. You know, it's before you know it, they're teenagers, as you know at your house now.
Yes, I do.
You know what I did see too is you saw Nasty Savage is back in Morristown. They're recording a new record that will be out early. I think they'll be out, early December. Or no, it'll be wrapped up. I think early December. They want to have it done. Well, I'm fucking this all up. They went into the studio early December, I believe, and they want to have it done by next year in March, I believe. I think they already have a label too, but they haven't announced it. They made a deal with a label, I believe. But I saw they'll be playing in Germany at the Keep It True Fest. Also, I saw for next year, so they're already booking shows. But this will be what they back in Morris Sound. They're back with Jim Morris, and they haven't put out. This will be what the first album with what's her name in the band, right? With Orman in the band, and I got to look at it's crazy.
Pete.
They're still recording. Pete,
yeah.
Jim Coker.
Yep. And then what's his name? Scott.
Yeah, Scott. So I mean, they're
and it's a great lineup, man. I mean, he's got a great lineup, and again, I've saw Nasty Savage in the early days, so to see that they're still carrying the torch, still doing it. I mean, what's not to like?
I think they're getting Dan Johnson back involved in the studio too with them, who we know worked on with Death and stuff. Yep. So they're putting out a new album. So I guess that'll be out next year sometime. So I mean that's Nasty Ronnie keeps on going. I saw The Absence is going to be doing a new album next year too. Who else did I see? Possessed will start working on a new album they're supposed to have wrapped up next year, 2024. What else is there?
Another band that'll be finishing up their record next year.
Yeah, and then you got Monstrosity. What's going on? Anything new going on there on that camp, or you guys just?
I go back in the end of January to hopefully finish the vocals, and if I understood it right, Mark finished the bass for the record. I think he want to go. I think they're going to have him come back and do one over because there's some stuff that he wanted to add to it. But I think pretty much, I think the leads are getting close to being finished. And once the vocals are done, I think it'll be pretty close. If to say it didn't come out this coming year would be a travesty, but I know Lee and he wants to get it done. So it will be done.
There you go. See, and there's what I'm trying to think. What else? Like I said, it's the year's wrapping up now. So there's like stuff going on, but it's kind of dead right now, right? If you really think about it. I was telling Ed I was watching a lot of old Morton Downey Jr. episodes recently. And for those who don't know Morton Downey Jr., he was one of the original trash TV guys in the late '80s, and I remember up in Jersey, when I was a kid, late at night, they would put his show on. His dad was a singer, actually. Morton Downey was his father. His mom was an actress. But he was born into money. But he was, Ed, do you remember the Morton Downey Jr. show?
Yeah, he was like the extreme version of Geraldo. Or what we would call Jerry Springer now, minus the, a lot of the strippers. But yeah, he had some he had some interesting guests, man. And he was an egger. For sure, he would egg people on, man. I'm surprised.
I remember he had the episode I remember he had the one with Ace Frehley, Joey Ramone was on there, Johnny Z from Megaforce, Scott Ian, Circus of Power, if you remember that band.
Yep.
Psycho Sluts from Hell. He had an episode with the PMRC. And if you watch, it's funny because and anybody, if you want to see who we're talking about, if you haven't seen him, a lot of people probably know who he is if you watched back then. But you can actually see episodes on YouTube now. And they actually have the commercials in there with the old 900 sex ads, Crazy Eddie commercials, the A-Team commercials.
Prices are so low, he's practically giving it all away.
Yeah. But he was, the thing with Morton Downey Jr. was he was a disc jockey at first. He was a program director back in the day, like back in the 50s. And then he got fired from... he got fired from WFUN in Miami because he gave out a rival DJ's address and phone number. I think he insulted his wife, maybe. And this is before he went on to the TV, and he was always controversial. I remember he punched Stuttering John in the face.
I remember.
Do you remember that?
Yep.
Yeah. Howard Stern was trying to interview him, and he punched Stuttering John in the face.
Stuttering John did like to get in your grill though.
Oh yeah. He actually ran. Do you know that Morton Downey Jr. was running for president in 1980? Which is crazy. He always smoked cigarettes. If you remember correctly, he always was He was the big cigarette smoker. I mean,
Yep.
even on his show, he would, because I think his show didn't last too long. I mean, it might have lasted 2 years, maybe. I think the actual.
That sounds about right. I think because what they used to do was record, I think, two episodes a day,
Yeah.
and then they ran them for a season, and then they always had some in the can. That
WWOR TV in New York, New Jersey, the Superstation. Yep. Yeah, and he would have. Remember, he had the big silver ashtray, and God, he blew smoke in the guests' faces.
Yeah, he was a dick, and I think he was in a couple movies too.
Yeah. He was. His fans were known as loudmouths. He has that. He was always used to say "zip it." I've been on this binge watching these old shows lately. Zip it. Remember Al Sharpton fought like Ron Innes on that show. Like, I mean, it really was a circus, and he died. He had a lung removed. So he quit smoking eventually. He got sued by a stripper when he bought her on there. He was calling her a pig, a tramp, and all these things. This is now you would get hung for this, but this was like back when he hit the soundman in the head with a microphone in '89.
Yeah, he was what we would call a dick, like the old Howard Stern. Howard Stern was a fucking dick in the beginning. He would do such egregious shit to people. but again, listen, people, this is what we do. This is how, like, it was supposed to be a comedic kind of thing. And that's the problem with today is, we're so worried about being offended or offending somebody, not realizing that if you're being funny, that's all it is. You're not really out there insulting people to be a fucking cox.
Oh, Morton Downey Jr. would not last today. Could you imagine?
No. Oh, dude, Jerry Springer. Any of these guys would not be around today.
He passed away too.
I was, I listened to Steven Crowder, and he was talking about Dice Clay, and he was watching this thing, and these people were like, "Oh, this guy's kind of funny. Who is he?" It's all these new people, and it's
Dice Clay still being very successful though. Somehow I like Dice Clay. I mean,
because
but he's actually doing well.
Because he didn't stop doing what he's doing because he understands it's comedy. It's fucking comedy, man. And once you take comedy away, you got nothing, man. I mean, dude. We've probably talked about this. Archie Bunker, the Jeffersons, even some of Three's Company was like with the Ropers was a little like you couldn't do today.
I love Three's Company. My wife can't stand.
I look at Archie Bunker or even the Jeffersons when the white and man and the husband, I forget what they were called. I can't remember their names, but the husband and wife. The wife was black, and the upstairs neighbors, and he would. The stuff George Jefferson would say to him, call them and stuff, and I'm just thinking, man,
Jefferson's that was another one.
You could not get away. Red Fox, the whole Sanford and Son. You couldn't have those shows today. Monty Python, Blazing Saddles. I mean, I can go through. Even if you look at the movies, some of the movies like up till Superbad, and maybe a couple of other movies after that. And it was over. Like the 40-Year-Old Virgin. I was watching some of that, and I'm like, oh my God, you couldn't say half of this shit today.
Well, even The Office, if you see that, you probably couldn't do half of what's on The Office. That show
exactly.
Stuff. Yep. But that would, or maybe terrible, even Married with Children and stuff. But that's why someone like Morton Downey Jr. would never, now he would be, and he died at 68 in Los Angeles. He had a lung removed after he was diagnosed with lung cancer. I know he was like anti-tobacco. He was also had some weird He was also like very anti-abortion at one time period, which was, kind of back then. It was the one thing that he was an odd dude. There was a documentary released about him in 2012, the Morton Downey Jr. movie. But yeah, I mean, it's definitely, if you want to see some old 80s, like I said, I always dug the old. It was a lot of like the heavy metal dudes. The Great Cat was on there one episode. He was that
show. He was
that show. And they moved him on to the later nights because I remember it was about 11:30 at night. You'd have to, I'd sneak up and watch him at night. His show. I think it was on. I don't know if it was on Fridays or Saturdays or some shit like that. But he was airing when he was canceled. He was actually airing on over 70 stations across the country. So He was rolling. Yeah, so he was the original trash TV guy, though. He was before Springer. He was the original.
Right. Like I said, him and Geraldo were always trying to outdo each other for who could be more over the
but
top.
Geraldo was like kind of sympathetic, wasn't he, back then? He just turned into more of that later on.
Well, I remember the whole. Remember the
skinheads broke his nose on the chair. Oh, King Tut.
King Tut's tomb, or we found the fucking
nothing
mafia
was inside
dude.
of it or
The
something.
mafia.
Yes.
Capone,
Oh,
Al Capone. We found the fucking blah blah blah, and that opened.
That's what
it.
it was.
There was nothing. There was nothing in the safe of Al Capone. I was like, you fucking prick. We watched this for fucking 3 weeks. Remember, it was a part 1, part 2, part 3, or something. And you fucking.
But back
prick.
then, you did that. It was like a big event on TV.
Yeah.
I mean,
but now it wouldn't. People's attention span just wouldn't hold true to it. Speaking of time, I did see. I don't know if you caught it, but I saw Eddie Trunk just celebrated 40 years of being on the radio.
It's crazy. When I was a kid, he was working at I remember when I was a kid up in Jersey, he was what Megaforce he worked with and stuff. At the time just flies. It's crazy.
He had a big concert out in LA with all the bigwigs were there and celebrating 40 years of being on the radio. And I'm just thinking, holy shit. I was listening to Eddie Trunk as a younger guy. And I'm like, yeah 40 years ago. And this makes me, when you hear 40 years,
it's crazy.
And I go, fuck my life, dude. Because,
Well, dude, look at like we always talk about it, but I mean, everyone everyone's passing away. Like everybody we used to, Suzanne Summers recently. And a couple deaths today and yesterday, I believe. Original drummer for the Misfits died. Manny Martinez is 69 years old. Colin Burgess from AC/DC, the original drummer for AC/DC, died. He was like 77. You look at this year, who else did you have? I had James Harvey, which you mentioned a couple episodes ago from Goat Whore. Bernie Marsden from Old White Snake. Who else is there? Jim Durkin from Dark Angel.
Yep. That was a big one.
Sakavi from Gizom. God, there's just I'm trying to think.
And the sad thing is and obviously hits a little closer to home because obviously losing my dad and mom this year, it makes me realize that first of all I was lucky because I got to spend 52 years on this earth with both of them and they were married, which is unheard of.
Think about how many people we know that. Like I'm always amazed by it because my parents, knock on wood, they're still with us, and I talk to a lot of people and you talk to a lot of people too that they didn't
lost their parents.
They're
early.
like at 10 years old, like they lost their parents, and
but together, still being married when they, when one of them passed, you know what I mean? That's unheard of for people to be married almost 53 years. So, but it hits close to home because it makes me realize, I've been seeing these people pass away, friends I've known over the years. And I just go, man, now I'm like, okay, I'm 52 and holy shit. Some of my idols are getting super old, man. Like, dude, I got to tell you, I watched the Expendables movie, the new one with Sylvester Stallone and Dolph Lundgren and all the fucking crazy dudes that are in it. And I'm going, this motherfucker is 77 years old. And he's doing this crazy shit, making these fucking movies that have so many stunts and all this crazy shit. And I'm like, dude, why don't you just go home and like live out your life with all your money? You're rich.
Because once you stop, that's when you get old, I think.
I think, and you know what? You're right. Because my wife said that about the Rolling Stones.
Once they're still rolling. And once you stop,
I think they need it. It's one of those things that they enjoy it. And if they stop doing something they enjoy, then maybe that's when the clock stops. So, yeah, man.
Who else? For Metal Church, the drummer, remember Kirk, what he played on Blessing, he passed away. And there's just, it's crazy. This year has been, we're just seeing more. There's probably guys we don't even know passed away. I mean, you go and look, there's just, this year has just been, as we're going to see it more and more every year that we get older, obviously.
And obviously we're going to, you're right, man.
And one day one of us won't sign on to the show anymore, and then we're gonna know that the Tampa Morgue is. I'm hoping it's you first. Who will close down the morgue at the end is the question.
That's right. Who will be the last one tagged in the morgue?
Exactly. No, I'm telling you, man. It's weird. Like I was talking to my buddy Ross. Ross.
Yeah.
We were talking recently, and I was like, man, our kids are getting. I can't believe your kid's this old. I can't believe your kid's this old. And Ross said it perfect. He's like, it's just one more reminder that we're closer to the hole. I'm like, you know what? It's fucking true.
What's the Reaper? What's the Flesh Reaper song? One day closer to
closer
death.
to death. End of the joke.
End of the joke.
Yeah, I mean, it's the truth, man. But yeah, so we wanted to, like I said tonight, we really didn't have anything to talk. We're just kind of like, we wanted to come on because we hadn't been on since last week. Ed obviously had a bunch of stuff going on with his family too. And my house is always crazy. And it's hard to, right now I didn't really want to try to book any guests for the next 2 weeks because of the holidays. It's just such chaos trying to do that. But I'm hoping we get one more show in before the end of the year.
Oh no, we're definitely going to get one in. Just because I want to end the year off on a high note and bring in the new year. We got we got guys the 7th and 11th. So we'll
have Pete Olin coming on eventually too. I need to work out with something. I was talking to Pete the other night, who owns the Conduit, and he was in Jesus, my brain, Dark Faith. So I've known Pete, and so has Ed for many, many years. So he's going to come on eventually. He books a lot of, if not 80% of the shows in Tampa. It seems like now in Orlando. I think Orlando too now. He's pretty much books everywhere. But we're going to get him on too.
He's always taking care of Generic Christ for sure.
And he was always awesome. So I mean, I always have appreciated Pete, and we're looking forward to get him on. I'm sure he's seen a bunch of shit, dealing with bands left and right. I'm sure it's been a circus for him, but now he owns the Conduit. So I mean, we look forward to talk to him, and I think it's cool that, which used to be the Haven, actually, for those who have been to the Haven, which is actually the last show we played at was the Haven with
forever with Obituary.
And I forget who else was on that show, but
Skeleton Witch.
Cool. Skeleton Witch, and it was another one too. Pallbearer, was it?
That's it. That's who it was.
Okay. Yep. But we were talking about earlier in the show that, well, first of all, before we play this, we're going to play a song from this band called Bandwhore, which Bandwhore is a band by Jim Ross, and I'm going to go over the information here in a second, but one second here. Usually we end the show with our little public access national anthem, but tonight we're going to end with a song. But one more time, we do have some guests coming up. I was going to remind everybody, what is it? January 7th, Alvar from, he was with Caveman Cold. Was with Reapermanser. I think hopefully still with Reapermanser. Great band. He's going to with a bunch of other bands. We're going to talk to him and find out exactly what he has going on, because I know he's busy now, got a bunch of shit going on. And then we have Dovidus from Crypts of Despair and Luctus, the Lithuanian bands, coming on the 11th. And I'm sure we're going to have maybe something before that and definitely stuff after that. But we're going to finish up the show tonight with Bandwhore. So it's, Ed, you want to, let me see here. Let's pull up so it's Derek Roddy on drums, Paul McBride on bass, Jim Ross on guitars. I think Jim does some vocals on this also. Eric from Dying Fetus does some backup vocals on this, I believe.
Joe LaChapelle.
Yep, Joe LaChapelle. Sorry for pronouncing anybody's name wrong. We do apologize. And Gruesome, who does the female vocals. Actually, she does some on the Doomsilla record, and she's doing some on this album too. The song is called, let me see here, Epic of the Ancients. And this Bandwhore from Jacksonville. It's like I said, he's going to be putting out these records very soon. He has it's got to be over 70 songs, and I mean he's got he's got people doing different languages on the songs and stuff.
I don't know how he's going to put them all out, but I'm telling you, if you want to hear something that's got the most eclectic people involved, Bandwhore is your bitch. I'll put it like that, because I'm telling you, and like I said, if you do any digging into Jim Ross, he's just unique. He's a unique individual, and let the song speak for itself, because there's too many, and everyone is different. And like I said, you're on a song, I'm on a song. We've all done stuff. And then, like I said, the stuff he's doing with Doomsilla, and hopefully this year, maybe we can get the other thing we were talking pushing to do.
Yeah, we did.
Year.
Yeah, we got the skin tomb stuff we're working on, which we're still trying. We have some demos done for that, and so obviously Jim's, like I said, he's always busy. He's got a bunch of stuff going on. But we're actually the first person to play this or Bandwhore. I talked to Jim yesterday. Actually, no one's played Bandwhore before, so we're the first ones to introduce everybody to this. So this is Bandwhore, and this is Epoch of the Ancients. Thank you for listening to the Tampa Morgue. Ed, tell them where they can find us really fast.
Apple Music, Spotify, I think Amazon Music, Instagram, Facebook, the Tampa Morgue at gmail.com. And thanks for a great year. I mean, who knew?
24 episodes in and we're still learning, but we're getting there.
Yeah, man.
But this
awesome. It's awesome.
We appreciate you, everyone, listening. If you need to get a hold of us, like Ed said, give us an email at thetampamorgue@gmail.com. And this is Bandwhore with Epoch of the Ancients. Thanks for listening to the Tampa Morgue. Peace.
See ya.